when I talk about being a Salesforce consultant in the lens of how to be a problem identifier versus a solution creator, the difference between the two is the way in which you gather that information, and it's ultimately going to affect what solution you come up with. Everybody thinks that Salesforce consulting is about solutions. How do we get the right tools to cross the finish line? Sorry to interrupt myself and you and I on this adventure to learn something new, but I just needed to stop us for a second and say, if you love this content and if you found it helpful, I have an entire collection of awesome stuff that if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll tell you exactly how to gain access to that. It's basically just stuff I can't share on YouTube. There's a ton of free asset downloads as well as some thought exercises to help you optimize your Salesforce CRM. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Sales to the Force. My name is Alyssa Schaefer, and I'm your host. If you are new, welcome. So great to have you. Just getting this out of the way. If you are a Salesforce consultant, or if you are somebody who is seeking out Salesforce consulting help or want to understand what Salesforce consulting even is, then you are in the right place, because I provide free information to bridge the gap between the people who have the solutions and the people who need the solutions, because I describe my job as I'm a senior Salesforce consultant. I describe my job as explaining calculus to fifth graders. The reality is not that everybody's a fifth grader, although I am using the fifth grade terminology because of the show Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? It does not mean that everybody is dumb. It just means that I have knowledge that I need to translate to somebody who does not have that knowledge. And we have to be able to speak the same language and for a solution to even be found. So if you are coming from the lens of, I want to do that, cool, welcome. If you're coming from the lens of, I need that, cool, welcome. This knowledge is going to be applied to both of you for two totally different reasons, but it's going to be helpful either way. So this video is about how to be a problem identifier instead of a solution creator. And this is going to apply to both of those groups. Please just bear with me for a second. I have to back up a little bit though, because what people think that Salesforce consulting is, not only from the consulting side, if you're new, and from the, and maybe if you're old and biased, but from the service side where you're like, I just need an answer. Everybody thinks that Salesforce consulting is about solutions. And I mean, to a point that's true, but that would be kind of like preparing to run a marathon only thinking about crossing the finish line. It's kind of like, okay, that's cool, but what about the rest of that stuff? So, and that's actually a great analogy. We're going to use that one. So, that is the difference though between being a solution, like a solution-oriented person, and being a problem-identifying person. Because if you're solution-oriented, it's always going to be, okay, how do we cross the finish line? How do we cross the finish line? How do we cross the finish line? Versus if you are more of a problem identifier, you're going to say, okay, how do we get my endurance up to run the race to cross the finish line? How do I get the right tools? How do I get the right shoes, the right outfit, the right water? How do we get the right tools to cross the finish line? You're even going to say, okay, and then how do I make sure that I'm going as fast as possible without deterring my progress? Meaning that in order to eat a cake, you have to do it one bite at a time. So the point is, and obviously that would be counterintuitive to crossing the finish line altogether, but my point is, so we'll put it as healthy bars, but the point is that unless you have all these problems identified and accounted for, you ain't crossing that finish line. So when I talk about being a Salesforce consultant in the lens of how to be a problem identifier versus a solution creator, the difference between the two is the way in which you gather that information, and it's ultimately going to affect what solution you come up with. So that's what we're going to talk about. Sorry, that was like the longest explanation of that to begin with. But I do want to add that I am, just a little bit of why I'm even qualified enough to talk to you about this. I am a senior Salesforce consultant. And the reason I'm making this channel is because I am on a mission to bridge the gap between consultants and the consulted. I've worked with, tons of different companies in tons of different industries, and all I can say is that from all of my years of experience, I can tell you that there's a very, very big gap between consultants understanding what consulting is and people who buy consulting, what they understand consulting is. Because if you're buying consulting for anything, you're buying knowledge, right? But one of the things that is very, very unique to Salesforce consulting, in my opinion, is that not only are you consulting for a solution, but you're also really having to integrate each individual company and the individual requirements that that company has, because you could be helping two real estate firms and come up with two totally different solutions because the way that they do their stuff is very different. They have two very different strategies. And similarly, this might actually sound like a oxymoron at this point, but you may find that, I have a real story about this. You may find that a solution fits for a real estate firm and like a health and wellness company. And you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But it's about the workflow. It's about the solution. So if you can identify the problem, meaning these companies have the same problem, you can then apply solutions based on the problems that you're being confronted with. So I have a few tips and tricks to becoming a problem identifier instead of a solution creator. The first one is ask questions. So instead of make statements. When you're presenting that information, you're presenting it in a way that's hopefully creating an epiphany. And actually the end goal is to be able to unlock information from that client that allows you to ask the next question. So everything, in my opinion, is about asking questions, because even if you're making statements, it's in the hopes that leads to the next helpful question. I'm going to back up a bit. I do work for a company, have worked for a company for a while now, being a senior Salesforce resource. This is separate from my job in an effort to bring this information to the marketplace and really bridge the gap between consultants and the people we consult. And not only can this difference in thinking help consultants be better consultants, it can also help people who are investing in consulting get more bang for their buck. Because if you come to the table and you already know, first of all, that you don't know anything, which is fine. Everybody just needs to get comfortable with that. This isn't a personal development channel, although I do dip into that occasionally. Everybody needs to get comfortable with the fact that they don't know, whether you're a consultant or a person being consulted. Nobody knows anything, but that's a video I will link to. There is a way to always find an answer. So if you can become a don't know it all, you're going to be an amazing Salesforce consultant or any kind of consultant. So with that being said, I am hoping that not only can consultants figure out the best way to do their thing, but also the consulted can come to the table with more knowledge, not in the sense that they understand Salesforce better, but come to the table with more knowledge so that they can really figure out how to ask for what they really need, not what they think they need, because most of the time when people ask me for help, they're asking me for A, and I'm, maybe coming up with a solution for A, but really they need B, and they don't even know that they really need B. So I'll actually give you an example. Of course, any solutions or anything that I give you as an example on this channel, I cannot be calling out companies for their problems and their inner workings. So I always have to do this vaguely as from my own experience. But I will just depict this one scenario because it really does perfectly portray why a consultant needs to be a better question asker. And obviously, here we go. You guys can judge me all you want, but at the end of the day, this is how you find answers to things. And this is like the better you get at this, the faster you can find the answer. So I had a client that was saying, we need help accessing this thing. And they were like, and we need multiple people to be able to access this thing and edit this thing. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I go in the back and I open up access to this thing. I said, okay, cool. Everybody can have access to this thing. Everybody can edit this thing. Of course I asked, I said, hey, is there any reason why somebody shouldn't be able to edit this thing? And they were like, no, we're sick of it being so protected. Everybody should be able to edit this thing. So everybody can edit it. So after I go and unlock the floodgates, everybody can edit this thing. I go back and say, hey, okay, please test. I've given everybody access to this thing. Please tell me if that solved your problem. So they were like, no.
Please, no! No! No!
And I was like, okay, well, I was like, I gave everybody access to this thing, so by definition, I solved the problem that you asked me to solve. This is what they asked for, so I did what they asked. So I said, okay, since this didn't work, I need you to send me a video, send me a screen recording of what you're trying to do and where you're getting stuck. So as it turns out, they needed access to a task, an automatically created task related to the thing. So they did not need everybody to have access to the thing. They needed everybody to be able to edit the task related to the thing. Now, from a consulting side, anybody listening to this that's a Salesforce consultant is going to know that you would be granting access to those things in two very different places. Like, you wouldn't be in the same spot granting access to the thing versus granting access to the task related to the thing. Two very different areas that you'd even be looking in. Like, that's literally the difference between going to a grocery store and going to like a CVS. Like, yeah, there's some overlap, but there's two different things. And so by, me shopping in a pharmaceutical shop for groceries, you're only going to be able to get partway there. And so when they shared the video, I realized not only did they have no idea what they were asking me for, but that only through me having them answer, the screen recording was them essentially answering all the questions I could have possibly asked them to really get to the nitty-gritty of what their real problem was. And only through that video was I actually able to even solve their problem. So, lessons learned. One lesson is that, if you're watching this video and you're a person that wants to invest in Salesforce consulting, it's of your best interest to come to the table and assume you really don't know, which is great because that's what you're investing in consulting for. They do know. And only through the combined working of both of your knowledge can you actually come up with an answer. Because guess what? In the circumstance and the situation I just described to you, they needed my help as much as I needed their help. Like, I needed their help to understand what the problem really was, and they needed my help to fix it. So, I'm hoping that through me sharing, some of my own personal experiences, you got, anybody listening out there can understand a little bit easier. First of all, why a consultant is asking you 100 questions. They're not asking you 100 questions for their own benefit. They are asking 100 questions for your benefit. They are going to find the solution faster by asking you 1,000,000 questions about why. What are you even talking about? Now, because also one size doesn't fit all in terms of solutions, right? So in a completely different setting, in a completely different circumstance, somebody saying, oh, I need access to the thing, could have easily meant the thing. But only through, asking those questions did either of us get to the answer we really needed. So, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed another episode of Sales to the Force, where we are getting better at identifying the problem instead of just spitting out solutions. Because, like I said, I spat out the solution and they were like, yeah, that doesn't work. And I was like, well, that's the solution to the problem that you gave me. So how to be a better problem identifier instead of just a solution word vomiter, which is part of the journey. So, everybody that is on the path of Salesforce consulting, stick with it. You get better as you go. And to everybody shopping around for a Salesforce consultant, I hope that every single one of these videos gives you a little bit of insight into how to identify what Salesforce consultant can actually help you versus a Salesforce consultant that is, from the experience they have, they're only going to be able to solve the thing, and not zoom out and think about the entire picture. So, I always say this, not all bartenders are created equal, and neither are Salesforce consultants. So hopefully this video served you. If you did like it, there's a like button that I've heard helps with other people being able to find this information. In addition to the fact that if you subscribe and turn on notifications, that you will get videos every time I post them, because I can promise you I will be posting more videos. This has been a mission of mine, and I'm really excited to go down this journey with everybody that is listening right now. I think that this is information that is not on the interwebs, and I am hoping to bridge the gap between the Salesforce consultants and the consulted, because not all consultants are created equal, nor should they. If everybody was good at everything, then we really wouldn't be having a conversation. Nobody would have a job. And so hopefully I can ease the pain of you not investing, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into a Salesforce consultant that really is not thinking about not only what your end goal is, but also how you get there, because not all roads lead to Oz, but some are more painful than others. So hopefully I can help you get there faster and, more efficiently, more effectively, and with the least amount of time, energy, and money, resources spent. Jeez. Okay, so I need an English degree next. So anyway, thank you everybody for joining, and I will see you on the next one. Hey there, thanks again for watching and joining me on my mission to create some blatantly honest Salesforce consulting content. I'm making this not only for aspiring Salesforce consultants that want to learn what it's like, but also somebody shopping around for a Salesforce consultant. If you want to know what to look for, then you can't miss out on these videos. And if you're also in the boat where you're like, what would it even be like to work with a Salesforce consultant? What could they even provide me? Then all of these videos are for you. And there are a ton of free videos on YouTube. But before you sign up to pay a consultant $30 to $100K to help you along your Salesforce journey, I highly recommend that you gain access to this free Salesforce Captain membership site so that you can be empowered with some information before you're put in that really tough decision that you're going to have to make. As promised, here are the instructions for how you gain access to this free site. I also would like to put in a disclaimer side note that because of the nature of email marketing nowadays, I've started to detest email. So I can promise you that the email you use to sign up for this membership site will only be used for receipts, and also for you to be able to manage access to your membership site, like if you have to change your password or something like that. If you want to be notified about each new video that I post on YouTube, then go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notification bell, and YouTube will let you know. In this membership site though, there is a way to contact me directly, so the only way to be able to do that is to sign up for a seat in this site. But I have curated some questions. It's a form with some questions on it so that I can get the information I need in order to be able to help someone in this area of expertise. All you have to do is click the link in the description and also in the pinned comments. It is also, it's everywhere. I'm not trying to hide it from you. So all you have to do is click that link, put in your preferred email, As stated, I promise that is your email for your stuff. I do not want to talk to you over email, but you can access me in this free membership site, and I'm able to share stuff in this site that I can't share on YouTube. For instance, like the no BS guide to a Salesforce CRM, or the mini course on how to think about automations, understanding automations, and other things along the lines of learning how to be a great system administrator, and not only that, but really how to get the bang for your buck with working with a Salesforce consultant. Because I know I don't come cheap. So I would much rather help you know exactly what you need before I am tasked with the assignment of figuring it out. So I really enjoyed making all of these videos for you guys, and I hope that you've got some great value out of it. And I can't wait to see you in the Salesforce Captain membership site. See you there.